everybody. This is James Diboe on Discovering Season 2. And we brought like a new guest in today. This is a man named Yves. He's from the Congo, originally born. And he came over here when he was quite young. But first of all, let me introduce Yves. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm great anyway. And the reason why we brought you in today, we're going to be discussing a bit of history of Africa. Also, the culture of Congo, where you're from.
Yes, sir.
And going into other parts of Africa if necessary to speak on the history. But first of all, I want to thank you for coming anyway. And from previous conversations I've had with you, I can see you're a knowledgeable person. We've had some great feedback back and forth and that. But so we start with your timeline now. You were born in Congo, that's right, is it?
Yeah. I was born in Congo in 94.
1994?
1994, yeah.
And you came to England?
To England around about 2001, 2002.
So you're like 5, 6 or something?
6, yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, coming to England was a big, massive culture shock anyway. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I kind of went through the beginning of the worst part of the Congo in terms of like the civil war, because obviously there was a civil war in 1996 with neighboring countries such as like Rwanda, literally just after the whole Rwanda Tutsi war.
The massacres.
Yeah, the massacres. So I was living that, man. Like I remember having, there was a point in time where the Rwandan people would like sort of invade, and they invaded the country and they went all the way to like the capital city, which called Kinshasa. And I can remember like having to experience what's known as like jungle justice. Like I had to experience that like firsthand. Do you know what I mean? And mate, it is like some tough graphic stuff that I've seen. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so coming from that environment to coming to England, it was just like, whoa.
I mean, even though you were quite young, you're only 5, 6, so I mean, can you remember like too much when you were born?
Yeah,
you
like
can.
it's crazy. Like I'd be having conversation with my mom and be like, hey mom, like remember this, that and the other happened? And she's looking at me like, how do you even remember that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, but like I just sit there and just get like flashbacks of stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, mom, did this happen? She's like, yeah, you were a baby. How do you remember this?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So when you first came here now, you were going back several times to Congo to visit your family.
I went back twice.
Yeah.
Because my grandma was still living there.
Okay.
So I was basically raised by my grandma, because my mom left. Obviously, she came to England to find a better life, and then later on to get me up here. So the time that my mom was here, I was raised by me nan. So there was times where I'd go back because I kind of missed it a lot.
Yeah.
So it was like it was just a way for me to sort of like, okay, she's still there. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think it would have been like if you grew up in Congo?
Boy, like I don't know. To be honest with you, like I couldn't tell you how it would have been. I mean, looking at the country now, I consider myself as one of the lucky one.
Okay.
That got away. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I consider myself as one of the lucky one.
Wow.
Because it's a hard life. It's hard growing in Congo. Like, you living in England, we hear people say like, oh, you can't go 3 days without food or water. There's brothers and sisters out there who are doing 2 weeks and they're surviving. Do you know what I mean? So
living.
It's harsh living. They like Congolese people are some tough people, man. Tough people.
Has a lot of resources, Congo, as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially in the Congo rainforest.
We have the second largest rainforest in the world.
Yeah.
And
all the minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second largest rainforest and the second largest river in the world.
Yeah.
And the most powerful river in Africa.
The big landmass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bigger than Nigeria. Not more population, but it's a bigger country.
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally fit every European country into the Congo with space left over.
Wow.
That's how huge the country is. So, like, with that kind of information, then you have to think when you look at the map.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do Africa justice.
Well, the maps are, they try and shrink Africa.
Yeah,
they try and make North America bigger. They try and make where Russia all this area bigger. Probably even do it with like China and everywhere. But a lot of these countries, you can put them into the African map.
Oh, yeah.
The African continent.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, majority of them. But also, have you ever visited the rainforest in Congo?
Well, I remember when I was just before I came here.
Reason why I asked that was because I visit a lot of tribes around the world and that in rainforest and stuff. But I know in Congo you have what they call the pygmies. Maybe you call them the Twa. These are supposed to be like the oldest people. On the planet.
Probably the original
people.
Congolese. I mean, my tribe is I'm from a tribe called the Baluba. So I'm like from like the Luba tribe. We're called Balubas, and there's like two of them, and we're majority of us lives like more of the central of Congo. So like we would have lived or had some kind of interaction with the pygmies, and they're very known. They're very like, though it's like with their history is not fully really known, but they as a people they are known.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, you only hear small things about the pygmies or the Twa.
Yeah.
Would you say that are they more concentrated in the rainforest, or are they on are they all around Congo? Would you say
they're more concentrated in the rainforest, but obviously there's certain ones who, you know, with habitation and everyone moving about.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because obviously there's a big thing in the Congo or in Africa with like bushmeat and stuff like that. Okay. So now you get certain tribes of pygmies that have been sort of reached. Then they'll be obviously go hunting, get whatever, then go out trying to sell them and trying to make a bit of money and stuff like that.
Yeah. What about wildlife? You have a lot of wildlife
mate, it's honestly, some people would describe the Congo as the Garden of Eden. Like
everything there.
Like literally, it's unbelievable.
Big cats. I mean, like you have lions there.
We have the leopards.
Leopards,
leopards. So basically, like the leopards is our national sort of animal.
Yeah.
So like sometimes even like when it comes to football, the Congolese national team are sometimes called the leopards. So yeah, but like we have gorillas, we have okapis, zebras, elephants.
Well, the gorillas in Rwanda, if you want to go and see the gorillas in Rwanda, it costs about £1,500 upwards per person.
Really?
And I don't know why it's that expensive. Maybe it's because there's a shortage of gorillas in Rwanda.
It's because of the poaching.
Yeah.
Animal poaching. So then it's pushing all these animals further out.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but usually the gorillas, elephants, white rhinos, black rhinos, they're normally concentrated in the Congo.
Ah, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously east west side of the Congo, so Goma side to Rwanda and that region. But obviously these animals, because of the poaching, they just get moved around, or they're just moving around to trying to find safety. Yeah. So obviously when they cross the border, that's when tourists want to go and see them. Yeah. They're having to pay a lot of money. But if you was to go to the Congo, unless if someone understood like, oh, they're purposely here for that. Yeah. You're probably just gonna drive around and see them.
Yeah. Now, also, a lot of the time I've talked about the Bantu people. Mm-hmm. I've speaked about a lot of the time when I've been on Chase's show, and I was explaining about it's important to know about the Bantus because this is the largest migration of Africans in the whole of Africa.
Correct.
In the Congo, you have a lot of Bantu people, majority Bantu, and that's the same with Rwanda. Mm-hmm. The Bantus are always the majority. And we've got to ask ourselves a question about we try and work out who are the original people of Africa. Yeah. Now, I'm aware it's a small people first, like you got the pygmies, the Twas, and you'll see them in rainforest around Asia. They're all over the place, Papua New Guinea, Tasmania. Mm-hmm. So what would you say about like the Bantus, from what you know about the Bantu people?
So the Bantu peoples are one of the original lineage to where most Africans are from. Yeah. So most Africans, especially sub-Saharan African and central to east side
Kenya and also
Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal. We're from that lineage of the Bantu.
Yeah.
So we class ourselves as Bantus, and with the Bantus, we have different features from everybody else.
From mixing. Yeah.
So the Bantu are like, they sort of really kept their lineage or their bloodline as pure as you could say, because now I'm a descendant of the Bantu people.
Oh, we all
do you know
are.
What I mean?
That's,
we all are.
That's
do you know
right,
what I mean? So, a lot of people see Africans and just think, oh, black people, Africans. It's like, no, there is different lineages of Africans. There is the Bantu lineage. There's all the different lineages. So, for example, like we were saying before, West Coast of Africa do not look like East Coast.
No, they don't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you go, you look at Sudanese, you look at Ethiopians, you look at Somalis, they don't look like Nigerians. They don't look like people from Cameroon. They don't look like people from Ghana.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then obviously if you go North Africa, they don't look anything like anyone from Sub-Saharan.
Only little thing is something with that. The migration into Africa, people from outside, has changed a lot in the last couple of 1,000 years. So when we're dealing with ancient Kemet, you see the depictions of what the people look like. You had people like Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. John Edric Clark, Renault Rashidi, you could go on forever, and they knew that these were clearly African people. Not just like the modern Egyptian that we see, who's come from the Middle East, or the descendant of the Greeks, the Romans, or the Turks, whoever's came in. But there's only so many type of Africans, really.
Yeah.
The more you go back into history, we start off obviously with the Pygmies, or the Twa, first people, and we're going back into the millions now, aren't we? You know, I mean, some say, you know what, you've heard of Lucy, of course.
Yeah.
The African name, they don't call Lucy, is it Skegness? Or
I'm not really familiar with it.
You had another name anyway. But the Bantus, obviously, Ramses III was supposed to be from a Bantu lineage. These connections to linguistics with Congo. And also, it was like we were talking about the Ashanga bone, the oldest mathematical tool, which was found in Congo. 25,000 years ago. You also have the lumber bone as well. That's even older, 35,000 years ago. And now I listen to people like, Dr. Ben Yoshi Ben Yakin.
I've heard about him. Yeah,
he's born in Ethiopia. Now he was born as a Hebrew, but obviously as he got older, he started doing his own comparative studies and that. And he says in Uganda, the civilizations come from down that way. It didn't actually just start in Egypt or just start in Ethiopia. So you can see this sub-Saharan lineage that goes back from thousands of years that brought their knowledge to Egypt. Egypt wouldn't have been Egypt without sub-Saharan Africans.
It wouldn't. I mean, it's funny saying that, because modern Egypt now, when we look at, the pyramids and all of their kings and pharaohs, a lot of people don't really understand is that the Egyptians got their knowledge from the Sudanese.
Nubians and Kushites.
Because the Nubians were the first kings or the first pharaohs
the first monarch
of Egypt, the first monarch of Egypt. There is pyramids found in Sudan that outdate
older
all the other pyramids in Egypt.
And even more. They've got more in Sudan.
Exactly. So then you have to think, well, why isn't that being discussed? Why isn't Sudan not given their credit? Do you know what I mean? Because we only know Egypt now after, the Romans came and the Greeks, and they've, rewritten Egypt to their image.
That's right.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's like a lot of the knowledge is being lost, but not completely lost, but also as the people, we're just not really interested to dig deeper than what it is, because we got to understand it's not everything that we see is what it is. Do you know what I mean? So when people can really take time to dig just a little bit deeper, it changes the whole picture. Completely. It completely changes the picture, because no one would think, oh, well, why don't we go in Sudan and figure out, well, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Even when you look at Christianity, there is churches in Ethiopia that outdate any church.
That's right.
In the Roman Catholicism.
Yeah.
So then you got to think, well, how did these people know about Jesus and God and Mary and all of that before the Romans?
Well, you know what? Since 325 AD, isn't it? You know, that's it. So it's under the Roman Empire, Constantine and stuff. So before that, you know, I mean, if you're dealing with this person supposedly called Jesus, you're going back to ancient Kemet.
Ancient Kemet, man.
You know, I don't think these looked at this man as, it was looking as a spirit.
Yeah.
I saw, you know, it was more of a spirit way, like this is a human being. You know, and the spirit, this is like something that, you know, people can't understand the spirit.
No, they can't.
They understand the physical, but they don't understand the spiritual. But the spiritual is actually...
It's just as important.
It's just as important. It's just as important.
Physical.
It is,
because,
yeah.
like, I think we one of the conversations that we had, and you asked me whether I believed in God or I was a Christian, and I said to you that I believe in God.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in religion. I don't follow the religion. I follow God, because anyone in this world could have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
Don't need a religion.
I think it's the God concept.
The God concept,
what Europeans have distorted.
Yeah.
Like it's a man in the sky.
But it's, that's what I'm saying. It's not, because our ancestors, they knew about God.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They knew about God through nature. That's why our ancestors had immense respect for nature. You know, like you talk about the pygmies.
Yeah.
When they go hunting, they're not going there and killing as many animals as they can. No. They'll kill 1, 2, or 3, just enough to feed the village for an amount of time.
Where some people are hunt for sport.
But there we go. Do you know what I mean?
You know.
So now you're throwing
the
balance of the nature off. And that can create problems.
Well, it's the same with wildlife, though.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of lions that are declining in some parts of Africa, you know, or not even just, what else? The elephant.
Elephants.
You know.
Rhinos. I mean, can you believe within the last 60 or so years, we almost got white rhinos extinct?
And that's messing with nature.
That's messing with nature.
It is.
Do you know what I mean? Because the world is, everything is balance. Everything is balance. So once you start knocking things off balance, you upset the order of nature.
You do.
And that could have some serious consequences, as we're seeing now. Like, I mean, we were saying before, if you think about it realistically, you look at the world, how it is, right? Wherever people trying to maintain the balance of nature, they have some kind of peace in terms of natural disasters. But then if you look at, for example, like we said, you look at America, right? Some people would say, because the whole continent is on the fault line and want this and that. How is it that continent, they're always having storms, always having hurricanes, tornadoes, but then you look at the land of Africa. I mean, when was the last time did you hear somewhere in Africa there was a big hurricane that killed millions of people?
That's very interesting. It is.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
but you look at Europe, there's always hurricane, there's always landslide, there's always earthquakes. Do you know what I mean? But in Africa, because most people in Africa are in tune with that balance. Yeah. So they don't, like in Africa, we don't kill for sport.
Yeah. That's it.
We just don't do it.
People go fox hunting, or kill deers, or kill bears, whatever.
We don't. Yeah. We kill to sustain ourselves.
That's right.
And then once we've done it, it's like, boom, it's done now.
It's done.
Do you know what I mean? Now we're going to feed off this animal.
Give thanks.
And until we next time need it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But at some point, the spirits of greed came into Africa and disturbed that nature, disturbed that balance. So now it's like, we're now killing to survive. We're not longer killing to sustain ourselves, because we've forgotten what it is to sustain ourselves. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, we have a land mass that is so rich in soil, so rich in minerals. Like, you can literally grow any plant. You can grow anything in the world in Africa. Yeah. But how do you explain that continent is the poorest continent in the world?
Well, this is dictatorship.
This is the question that we need to start asking ourselves.
Yeah. It's the unity, though. It's unity. Well, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day about talking about a lot of invasions, and then the subject was, well, what were the Africans doing during all these times? Mm-hmm. and obviously they weren't unified.
Nah.
That's the easiest thing I can mention, because if you was unified, you wouldn't be having all different people coming in and enslaving you, and people do what they want. They think when they come into Africa now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say as much as they weren't unified. I think our ancestors were very much unified, because you can understand, like you mentioned about the bones that were found in the Congo.
Yeah,
these bones outdate. Again, going back to Egypt, because that's the main thing when you think Africa. First thing that will pop into your head is Egypt. You had ancient Africans or ancient Bantus who were like so smart.
Yeah,
they had the most complex version of maths that even now we can't really decipher.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So, if you've got maths, then that means what? You're civilized. That means you're smart. That means you have a brain.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So you got to look at it in terms of, yes, our people were united, but what caused the problem, what caused the division was corruption.
Yeah.
Corruption came into Africa. So it was like, okay, look, I've brought this and I've brought that, but I want you to look after it, but I don't want him to have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So look, you look after it. If you're trying to rob it, or if you're trying to take it off, you go, do whatever you got to do. Do you know what I mean? So now we're then divided, because we're thinking, okay, well, I'm being trusted with all of this, so I've got more power now over my own people, or I've got more power over that people. Do you know what I mean? So, but then what some of our ancestors didn't realize, that there was an agenda. Do you know what I'm saying? There was an agenda, but our ancestors didn't clock on about the agenda, because they just thought, oh, okay, we're just helping. Do you know what I mean? And like, for example, going back to Congo, a lot of people don't even understand this. Congo was a kingdom before anything.
That's right.
And it was one of the most powerful kingdoms in the continent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the whole trade system came about, Congo, and one of the kings of Congo, King Alfonso, he was one of the first kings of Africa to have a seat on the political table in the Vatican. He was the first king in the Congo, or in the continent, who had ambassadors in the Vatican. And at this time, the Vatican was like the world power.
Yeah,
that's where everything happened. You couldn't trade, you couldn't do anything without they say so. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where it was like, okay, I have to do what I need to do to get a place in there, but it comes with a cost. Do you know what I mean?
Always.
It comes with a cost. Like we were talking before about making that contract, it came with a cost.
Yeah.
And by the time our ancestors realized what the cost was, it was too late.
Too late.
And the sad thing is, even now, Africa is still suffering from them mistakes. But a lot of people would not dig deep because they don't want to know. Do you know what I'm saying? So then that knowledge, then it's slowly going. It's slowly going, because people need to understand is that our history wasn't all about, it wasn't recorded orally. Nah. We were amongst the first people in the world that had written language.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Because you can't have math without having to know how to write. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't know how to write without having to know how to speak. So if you speak, then you have to record it. And what happened was, before even the colonial times, when European first came to Africa and discovers like, oh, hold on a minute, these people have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
How are we coming here and these people are teaching us things that we didn't even know? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's when the whole idea of supremacy was born. So now you're dealing with people thinking, okay, well, we've already told that side of the world that we were the first to do it. And now we just found out these people are doing it. Now we can't have that. So we need to delete their record. And what did they do? Bent everything. Killed off every knowledgeable guy. Because at that time, to know how to write, it wasn't just for anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? There were special people, special teachers, special priests that had that ability to write, to read.
Yeah.
So you kill them, that's history's gone now.
That's right, yeah.
Because they didn't teach everyone to write. It was only a selected member of people.
Few.
Then you have to write. So when you kill them off and you burn off all the records, what have you got left with? Well, whatever you want people to believe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, you look at the Spain, they did it with the Mayans.
Yeah.
Invaded, took everything, and decided, oh, you know what? Let's burn everything. Burnt everything. And now the Mayans are lost.
Yeah.
We don't even really know anything no more apart from small books, maybe like 3. I think there's like 3 original scrolls.
Well, even in we're dealing with ancient America, I mean, you've got to look at the Olmecs, for example. And, you know, we were speaking about the Olmecs last time, and these were when we say who are the Olmecs, it's indigenous black people who've been there probably 40,000 years, could even be more. And then later on, West Africans that came in, and Egyptians, and they've brought the knowledge, the astronomy, everything they brought, the calculations. The Mayans didn't have their own calculations. No. You know, that's, you know, and not besides that anyway. That's why we always deal with the importance of African history. All the time. This show doesn't matter if you're a musician. Doesn't matter what you do, because if I don't keep at this, and we need to encourage more people to go to Africa. We're trying to arrange something called the Return Project, where we can take 10 youth, age 16 to 19, to Africa, Rwanda, and let them experience, set up workshops. Because if we don't, I'm just one man. I can't do the work of everybody. I'm just one person that can do so much and encourage so many people. But it's unity, and we need more people involved in this. And more people need to go to Africa. I mean, we'll go to Spain first, or we might go to Turkey, or might go to, you know, Caribbean, Got to go to the motherland.
It is important. It is very important to go back. It's not just going back to visit or but you gotta be ready to immerse yourself.
You gotta be ready though.
You gotta be ready to immerse yourself, because again, like I said, most people that go back to Africa, they only experience Africa as a tourist.
As a tourist, yeah.
Do you get me? And that's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
As a tourist than as a person who's there.
Yeah.
And the only reason why you can experience that is by immersing yourself. Take off, like, do not fear anything. Like, dive in.
I had to mix with the local people.
You have to. You have to go to
our drives.
Our drives, bro.
You got to
deep into the village.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when you do that, there is still old people who are willing to give, or who are willing to tell the story if we want to listen.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I was saying, being African in this country, for me, I came to realize there's a lot of different things, from African who were born here to African who were born in Africa. One of the main things I always say is respect.
Respect's
now,
big.
We always talk about it. Respect, keep it real. We listen to it in our music. We see it in the movies. But a lot of people don't really understand the African ways of respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was brought up to respect my elders regardless.
Same.
Regardless who you are, family or not.
Yeah.
I was brought up in a way where I could be walking around the streets. I could see Chase, might not even know him. But if Chase goes to me, yeah, son, come here. I want you to go to the shop.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
sir. I'm going.
That's right.
Try that in England. You're probably going to get a middle finger if...
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
The hospitality in not even just Africa, also some other places I've been, where you could even go to Jamaica and you can ask like a local youth to go to the shop, and you know it's not like they have a lot of respect.
There you go. But where Africans who were born, who were westernized,
different.
It's different, bro. So now you have to think even the smallest thing, but because respect, a lot of people don't understand, it's a big part of our culture.
It's got to be passed on.
Yeah.
And speaking on passing on our history, that is all part of it. Respect, spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole lot. When people start believing, it's not important to teach African history because just worry about getting your job, go to university, get your degree, and then you're on your way. Where really, you know, you need knowledge yourself.
Yeah,
That's very important, to knowledge yourself.
I mean, there's a say in Africa and in Congo, we also say this: to know where you're going, you got to know where you came from.
That's right.
To go forward, you got to look back.
The roots.
You got to look back. Do you know what I mean? So now, when we're growing up in a Western world, most of our parents are so focused on just making ends meet.
That's right. That's
Do you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But the question is, it's always down to our parents.
You got to teach the language as well.
Yeah,
Keep it
like
going.
me, like I've got two kids, right? And my kids, I speak to them in my native language, which is
Good.
Lingala.
Good.
Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's important. It is hard because obviously their mom, she's from Romania.
Okay.
So it's different. But I always encourage, even when it comes to that side of the family, I always, whenever they go to their mom's side of the family, I always say to them, look, you know, when you've got my kids, don't speak to them in English in the house. Speak to them in Romanian. Teach them your culture. Because my kids are not just Africans, they're not just Congolese, but they're also Romanians and they're also British.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So English, they're going to learn that in school. They're going to speak English anyway, regardless of whatever I do. They're going to speak English.
Yeah.
But they're not always going to speak Lingala. They're not always going to speak Romanian. They're not always going to speak French.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So I speak to my kids in Lingala and French.
Mm.
And I encourage her mom's side of the family to speak to them in Romanian. Do you know what I mean? And again, like you said, it's important. But what I was trying to say was that, for example, with me, half of the history of Congo, I didn't learn it from school. I sat down with my mum. I just started asking questions. Hey, mum, like, you know, before I was born, what was the country like?
Yeah.
What did you see? What did you feel? What was going on? From there, that's when I'm starting thinking, okay, boom, 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 boom. And she'd be like, well, this part I don't know, but speak to your nan. Ring me nan up. Hey, nan, remember this time and that time? What happened? Then my nan's going to tell me. And if she found somewhere where she's stuck, she'd be like, oh, do you remember this uncle? Well, this is his number, phone him, he'll tell you. Do you get what I'm saying? So it comes down to us as well.
Yeah.
Because like my generation, a lot of my generation aren't really interested in the history of Congo. And a lot of people don't even understand is that Liverpool, it is a big, big city and it plays a massive important role in the history of Congo.
Okay.
And people don't even know that. Like if it wasn't for Liverpool, the Congo wouldn't be as we know it. Because it was because of Liverpool that Leopold II, who colonized the Congo.
Leopold.
Yes.
Oh, Leopold.
Leopold II.
He's a wicked man.
Mate, like,
Yeah.
You obviously we know history with the Holocaust and all of that.
Yeah.
Leopold makes the Holocaust look like a walk in the park.
That's right.
But it doesn't get spoken about.
But you know what, though? It's been a great show today, and we've learned a lot. But unfortunately, we're coming to the end of discovering. But it's been great, you know, Yves, and I'm really happy to come on. I'm always happy also to have people born in Africa because we deal with a lot of African history, you know. So I want to, like, thank you today for coming on. Anyway,
it's
Yves.
been my pleasure, man. It's been my pleasure.
Maybe in the future we could do a follow-up on it, you know.
Definitely.
And I want to thank you very much. This is James Diboe on Discovering. We're discovering a new thing from all around the world, you know, especially the importance of African history.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you all for coming. So, bless out, Yves.
Yeah, man.
Bless out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.